Here is the Bivens decision. This meeting is private to members and those invited to attend. Bearing false witness, misrepresentation, and posting inflammatory rhetoric in public forums is forbidden and shall be addressed in an appropriate manner. To eliminate all conflict and false allegations, is there anyone in attendance today's meeting that is a member or agent of any law enforcement agency or public agencies at the federal, state, county, city, or township agencies present? Not hearing anyone. Anyone who is here under false pretenses, anyone who is working for any foreign government, including territorial United States or municipal United States. Anyone who is being paid or coerced to be here must fully disclose their presence and purpose now or leave the premises/call. Anyone who is a U.S. citizen without any intention to correct their lawful status, state so now. If they subsequently show up as federal witness, they are discredited for failure to disclose. Are there any responses to the Bivens decision? Not hearing anything. Are there any responses to the Bivens decision for the second time? And for the third time, not hearing anything. Are there any responses to the Bivens decision? And for the third time, not hearing any responses, I would like to express that members do not share private email communications with non-members without expressed permission. I yield.
Hey, everybody. I'm happy to see everybody here tonight. Smiling faces. It's good to see everybody. I'd like to open up, first of all, with a little prayer. God grant us the patience to work together. Bring us all together as a family. Let us work together with understanding and compassion in our hearts. Let us not be rude or arrogant towards one another as we light the way to your heavenly kingdom. I would also like to say, amen. I would also like to say a few words real fast. It's from me, said with love and authenticity. You can take it however, hopefully not the wrong way. Sort of how I was brought up, with love and authenticity. And my mother and father explained what was better for the family is, well, it always came first. And in the meanest of words, I guess, I was always told nobody has time for you, although they were teaching me love by not focusing on myself first, but by focusing on everybody else. I don't usually have time for myself for the same reason, is one of the reasons why I stepped up and continue to donate my time daily. We're all in this together. And if we don't all realize that, then we're unfortunately pedaling the wrong direction with the current. I would like to read real fast from Asking It Is Given. Obviously, Anna talks about this all the time. It's about removing your attention from the city's potholes. As I focus upon what I want, I feel good. If I focus upon lack of what I want, I will feel bad. So let's take it a little further. Can you focus upon more than one thing at a time? You cannot. Can you feel more than one way at a time? Can you feel good and bad at the same time? You cannot. And so it is not logical, for it certainly falls within the guidelines of the law of attraction that you are focusing upon what you do want. You cannot at the same time be focusing upon what you do not want. And if when you focus upon what you want, you will feel good. And if when you feel good, you would be in a positive mode of attraction, then would not your most important work be to look for the positive aspects of all things, to look for the parts of all things that are uplifting to you, and to get your attention off of the potholes?
I am.
On that same note, I would like to say about words are vibrations, and their definitions affect our reality. I've heard or maybe read a couple comments I don't know who it was, it doesn't matter, about how it isn't anybody's job to tell them how to feel. And you were all completely right. It's not our job to tell anybody how to feel. And as that applies, vice versa. It's not anybody else's job to tell us what to waste our time and what to focus on. By definition, Black's definition of listening, paying attention, focusing, and concentrating. It notes that these are all important skills for a great attorney. Well, that doesn't work for me. Hearing. A hearing is a formal procedure before a judge or a magistrate without a jury, where evidence and arguments are presented to determine a legal or factual issue. I don't like the sounds of either one of those. I don't know how much you guys have read, but I don't want to waste any more time listening or hearing. I'm back to the feeling because that's where it all boils down to. I do know that all the listening and hearings that we've had have gotten us exactly to this current condition. Here we are. So I'm hoping that we can all find a way to move forward. We've come here collectively for one goal. It's to set up our courts. We all know this. Without the proper support from Anna, the Federation, and of course each other, it'll never happen. It's just not gonna. I'd like to read real quick again from a common law training manual. I hope you guys have all picked this up. Obviously, a very important book. Self-governing judges are notoriously prone to corruption and political manipulation, and when appointed by the very governments under criminal investigation, are obviously unsuited to the task of rendering a fair judgment. In fact, under legal procedure, such state-appointed judges have no jurisdictional competence to rule on the criminality and guilt of their employers. Judges routinely waive just procedure and rules of evidence and are authorized to do so by statute law. In Canada, Crown appointed judges even have the power to alter or destroy court records, silence one party in a dispute, and ignore due process altogether. The whole point of establishing a jury-run common law court is to prevent such a manipulation of the law and justice by unaccountable parties or vested interests. It is not accidental that a founding father of the American Republic, John Hancock, said in 1777, "If we have not courts that are established and maintained by the people, rather than by corruptible judges, then we will have no republic. Our Constitution and our nation will rise or fall according to the independence of our courts." With all that being said, I'd like to yield and I'd like to give the floor to Becky. Thank you, everyone.
Good evening, everybody. Are we ready to work together?
Yes.
Yes.
We'd like would like to know if anybody has some ideas on what some long-term goals should be. Okay.
May I? I'd
Please,
like to
Derek.
say that something that we should be focusing
Ready
on
yet.
is,
So I'm going to hand this off to Rohit.
I'll stay.
Maybe Becky has some hearing issues. Becky, Derek was trying to speak up real quick. Maybe Rohi's ready to go, but do you want to yield to Derek real fast?
Yeah. I'll yield. No problem. Go ahead,
Go
Derek.
ahead, Derek.
I was just stepping up just to get the ball rolling. Mainly just as long as we can focus on protecting the people and their assets, standing our courts up, helping with remedy to ourselves and to the people, so that way we can actually progress forward in doing what we need to do as the assembly members. With that, I yield.
All right. Good evening, everybody. I just wanted to give an update on the environmental conditions up in the western part of the state. There's a lot of obviously mud, sludge, and water damage that's been up there. So I looked into and did some research about the soil, the sludge, and as well as the air quality. The toxicity of the sludge itself that's left behind across Western Carolina has been obviously a lot. They've tested this material. They've tested it for about 135 different pollutants. Out of all of them, as you would think, they didn't report any high levels of anything other than two constituents. One is called trimethylbenzene, and the other one is called isopropyltoluene. The reason I'm mentioning those two is because those were registered as elevated, but also because of what they are. The trimethylbenzene is of most concern because it is actually a constituent that's used in gasoline and other transmission type fluids. And it's a solvent that they use in perfume manufacturing. And it's an inert ingredient. So you're not going to really know the toxicity level necessarily. 100%, they just report a level that they can detect. And it's also used in home maintenance inside the houses as a pesticide and things like that. So it really presents a serious risk to your health. And if the other material is the isopropyltoluene, it's also an industrial chemical used in the manufacturing of paint, furniture, and other consumer goods. And it's also found in sewage sludge. So for all the people that have been there since day one, dealing with all of this mud and sludge, it is hazardous. You've probably been exposed to some sort of chemical from those materials. And that's just the soil part. There's also water quality issues. The water quality in the plumbing and the wells and all has elevated levels of E. coli. And the DEQ, the NCDEQ right now is encouraging people to remain cautious. And they're not saying it's really bad, but they're probably not reporting it correctly. As I'm sure you know, regular mass media is not going to report that the levels are elevated. But that is a big concern of the E. coli. The air quality is also toxic. Breathing in the air quality and the air from these materials and chemicals could cause lung infection and lung damage. So just be aware of that. We recommend that you guys in the western part of the state, if you can evacuate and go somewhere else, family members, friends, and somewhere else, it's safer. Also dealing with the cold weather coming up. So that's not going to help conditions in the area. But that's my update. If you have any questions, I yield.
May I?
Yes.
Are there any type of needs that or symptoms that the people should be looking for on themselves or on others, being around these dangerous chemicals and hazardous things?
It really depends a lot on the amount of exposure. You could have breathing issues, respiratory issues. It's not going to be something overt. You're going to feel possibly dehydrated, tired, things like what you would normally think was flu-like symptoms, and those types of things. It's not something specific to the chemicals or anything like that, because it's very generic.
Are there any types of remedies that the people can have on hand? Like, would iodine help in this case? Are you?
The iodine might help with radiation and things like that, because there's also radiation from the chemical plants and things like that are people are being exposed to. So the iodine would help with that. not specifically gasoline exposure and this trimethyl benzene. Go ahead, Gwen.
So, Rohit, do you have the numbers for those poisons that you can share with us? And are we looking to send any kind of breathing apparatuses or any help with the air purification to any of the Western North Carolina people? I yield.
In the research I found, there's no specific numbers as to how many people have been exposed. It's over the whole western part of the state, so they don't have an actual number. They're obviously not going to say it's a large amount. As far as the respirators and other personal protective equipment, we're making lists and collecting materials for donations for all of those things.
Oh, I'm sorry. I meant the percentage of the poisons or like the elevated poisons, not the number of people that have been poisoned. Like what percentage of the
what level? Yeah, they're
yes.
reporting it as low. They're not saying it's above limits right now, but that's just regular mass media. They're not going to report anything above the levels. But if you've been dealing with it, you have to kind of go off the normal news media and find some levels, and I wasn't able to do that in time for the meeting today. Ross, go ahead. Ross, go ahead.
Thank you. Benzene is a 6-carbon ring. Toluene is a benzene with a hydroxyl group on it, and the isopropyl is a benzene with a 3-carbon chain on it. It has been incriminated in as a cancer-causing agent, particularly leukemias, I think. So I don't know that you would get an immediate reaction to it. You know, it may not give you a rash or something that you would notice right away, but it is listed as a carcinogen. Thank you.
Thank you, Ross. Appreciate that.
May
Anyone
I,
else?
Greer?
Go ahead.
Yes, I actually did my PhD dissertation on AML leukemia, and benzene was one of my controls because it is absolutely a known carcinogen. And if it's oxidated in any way, then yes, it can absolutely cause a lot of damage. Probably, like Ross said, not observable immediately, but over time with exposure.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. Tess, go ahead.
Hey, thanks. What about water purification? Is there any? So like I've done a little bit of research into the chlorine dioxide. I have a stash of these Safrax company chlorine. So would that help any of the people out there at all? I yield. Thank you.
Yeah, I didn't look into that at all. I didn't get enough time to do that, but I can follow up for next week and give an update.
So the recommended reading before the meeting was Bear Independent.
It was just an
Listening
independent.
thing, the thing they wanted you to listen to before the meeting.
No shit.
All right,
I'm
I
sorry.
yield to Dan.
Were you asking if I was? Are you asking if I was directed to read that? I'm sort of confused at what you're asking me. I yield.
Rohi, may I?
Please, Anthony, go ahead.
Okay. I know a lot of water plant individuals that are out there trying to get the plants working and stuff like that. They actually advised me like maybe 3 days ago that it's going to be months before the water treatment itself is going to be cured. It is kind of a hot mess out there, just as an update. I know I've been pretty busy. I haven't had a chance to talk to you about it. Radio.
All right, I yield to Dan. I don't know.
I don't know if I didn't get an answer on the question presented to me, so we can move forward. But no, I spoke from my literature, my heart, my mind, and what I see what is going wrong in this assembly every day in and day out. Is that, we all create our own reality. And if whoever's here that doesn't believe in what we're doing, well, then take your negativity somewhere else because we're trying to work together. And there wasn't enough of us getting a voice or working together beforehand. And it is what it is. It got reset. I mean, Anna supported everything that's going on, and this is where we are. This is where we stand right now. So I'm not trying to cause any problems with anybody. I'm just trying to hopefully work with everybody. I yield. Go ahead.
So I just want to go on record to objecting to that because that's your opinion. That's not the reality for a lot of us.
Yes, ma'am. And as I stated, and that's how you feel too. So we're right back to how you feel and I feel. And then we're right back to the point of attraction and everybody's focused on the wrong things instead of the right things. So that's fine. We can play brother, sister. I don't talk to my family either because they all act just like this. Or we could get along like a family's supposed to, and we could move forward. So you guys, I yield. I mean, but may I refer back to, I don't know whose mother did or didn't, but my mother always told me if I don't have anything nice to say, then don't say anything. And that's where we're back to. Nobody treats anybody with any respect around here, and everybody's pointing fingers all the time. Well, if you want to point fingers, everybody's here. I'm here. Point fingers. It's only going to go as far as your computer screen. And then that's a mirror image of yourself. You got to check yourself. You got to realize that this is bigger than you, and it's about everybody else here. But again, that's how.
But
Yeah,
it should be about the truth, and it should be about what the truth is.
And the truth is we all
The
got to work
truth is
together
there's
and
been
move
no
forward.
crimes anywhere. There's been no crimes. Nobody's hit anybody. Nobody's ran anybody over with their cars. There's been a lot of mistakes and there's a lot of correction needed. But that doesn't mean we need to keep focus on everybody else's feelings. It's not how I feel. I'm moving past feelings. I'm doing this for everybody else. And if anybody else has to bring their feelings into it, then bring it. But we don't really have time for it. Mary Van Gort, please.
Number one, when I came into the meeting, there was no negativity on my part. And maybe there should be a raise of hands of everybody else in the room that wants to vote for, was there any negativity in your heart? Because the only one that seems to have negativity and a chip on his shoulder is Dan. And the other thing that I need to say is the fact that this is not a reset. Anna said specifically, we are not in a reset. This is supposed to be a focus on Western North Carolina. And Rohi is the only one, and some of the other members have stayed on the problem in Western North Carolina. So why don't we go to the problem of Western North Carolina and get off of feelings?
May I?
And I yield.
Do we go back to backup or doing the friend thing again? I don't know. Ross, could you speak up to with any of my involvement with Western Carolina and the relief? Would you at least explain to anybody the involvement that I've had with you back and forth in my personal efforts, so everybody could undo the fact that it's about Dan, because it's not. I yield.
Derek?
To add to that, I just want to say that everyone is doing their part. It may not be seen, it may not be heard, but it's definitely working. Any efforts are definitely helping, but definitely staying on topic of Western North Carolina, and from there, trickling down to just protecting the people and their assets. That's our main focus, and I believe that is our only focus as of right now for the relevant situation. I yield.
Julian?
May I?
Please go ahead.
Hey, everybody, this is Julian. I agree with Mary. And before there was no negativity at all. And if we were to just echo, we're not trying to create a nanny state. We say we're learning to work together, whatever. Well, let's stop bringing up any negativity and look at what was prior built. Because as long as you keep pulling up the foundation, the building will not get built. And the focus right now should be those individuals who need help, point blank, period. There's nothing else that should be going on. And then if a concentrated effort, that's how you get things done. And I want to even echo, when I met Dominic, it took me almost 3 years to come here, whereas I had already done this on my own. And, I listened to a lot of the things that were said. I've never once found anyone that, if you are a coordinator is basically a temporary position anyway. It's very, very temporary. And I think what I've seen is a lot of egos. And it's not about an ego. There are thousands of people who need help. And even when this took about, when Dominic, and there's a lot of things he's not saying, and which I like his approach. It's like, it's not about mudslinging, and, we have to learn how to be able to stand and build as a nation of people. And no, that's not going to be easy. And to be honest with you, there was movement going forward. And I think if we reconcile those things, we can move forward. And then I think a lot of things will get done with resources as helping people. So, rehashing all of well, you said this, you said that, until that is cleared, nothing will go forward. But guess what? It's a process. So if it needs to come out, it needs to come out, because you can't have it as a foundation. But the foundation that was laid, from my perspective, there was nothing wrong. Now, if others wanted to join in and do some things, there is room. And we can go and build. But like I said, let's not build a nanny state. There was paperwork put in place that everyone is at different levels as they were learning to go through the processes and fill things out. So if you can help someone, let's help someone get all their paperwork in. We're not charging anybody. And if anyone's charging somebody to fill the paperwork, shame on you, because you got it for free. There's a lot of little things that's being said that's not being brought to the table, but beforehand, I could pick up the phone, and those individuals who were in those positions, they always pick up and would give me an answer. I can't get help right now if I have a real question. And those are the things we need to look at, the very foundation. What are we building? We just can't build just what are we building? Those kind of conversations should take place. And once it's settled, then we can go forward. There's no need to rush. because we're all learning, and we're learning at different rates and different times. So, but I just want to say that I yield. I hope the best for this assembly, but right now, as it was indicated, this is the assembly of the whole, because our focus is helping those individuals who need it the most on that side of that mountain over there. I yield.
Yes.
Thank you for that, Joel.
Thanks.
We're definitely gonna go ahead and refocus this and keep it to the people and the assets. Let's move forward. Tess, go ahead.
Hey, thanks, y'all. I wanted to ask about the I don't know if this is answerable right now, but is there a recommended dosage of the iodine for exposure? My research when I was buying my iodine tablets about a year ago, my research showed that young people would get benefit from using the iodine tablets in the event of an exposure, but I don't have that I don't know if I'm remembering that correctly. So because again I have iodine tablets and I don't know if I don't want to ship it to people if it's not helpful. I yield. Thank you.
Does anyone have any recommendation to what Tess said?
May I, concerning the iodine? This is Julian.
Yeah, please go.
What I would suggest is we have to be very careful with shipping iodine to the general public. Um, it does have its benefits with massive exposure. Yes, it does, but it's in small quantities. What I would suggest is if there are research scientists, Duke is very well versed. You can ask, and then they could better tell you and redirect it from medical professionals so that we're not running into giving prescriptions or giving a script of something when we're not experts in that area. I yield.
All right, Gwen, go ahead.
But I think Robert might have something to say about iodine, so I'll let him go first if he does.
Thank you. Iodine is taken to mitigate the radioactive isotope of iodine in a nuclear radiation exposure. You can take as much as you want. It just keeps the radioactive iodine from lodging in your thyroid gland. That's what that iodine is for. You can also use it to clean up your water a little bit. It's antibacterial, but you have to let it sit in the water for an hour. And I think it's 9 drops per gallon or something like that. But you can always also use bleach to do the same thing, but bleach is 16 drops per gallon. But the whole iodine thing is basically for radiation exposure, nuclear radiation exposure. I yield.
Thank you, Robert. Gwen, you still going again?
Well, Mary, do you have something to say about iodine? Because mine's not regarding iodine. So I just want to make sure that all gets out first.
No, mine's not about iodine. Mine's about Cynthia would like to come into the meeting. Please let her in.
Nobody's keeping anyone out. She's nowhere on here.
Gwen, go ahead.
Okay, I have a couple of questions. we were told, or we heard on a podcast, I think, that there was $1,600 collected so far. So when are we going to get an accounting of who's donated and where those funds are going? And are we going to have any say in as a group of what those funds will be utilized for? So I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, absolutely. If we have more than $1,600 now, I don't know the exact amount. Somebody else has got it somewhere, and we brought up $500 cash to Ross that he handed to Miss Mary, I believe her name was. But again, that was not to bring up bad topics. That was supposed to go to me, but I gave it to them anyways. So that was mine I gave to them because I'm ill and angry. But there's 2,000 plus maybe. I don't know. Somebody else is gonna have to answer that for me. And we are looking forward for suggestions, and that's why we haven't spent the money yet, is because we want to make sure it goes to the right place. I yield.
Okay, so when are we going to get an accounting of that fund? I guess how much is in there, who donated, and then when are we going to talk about how it's going to be spent?
Anthony, anybody else have even the accounting to that? I've been busy, not focused on that because I wasn't worried about how we were spending it without obviously bringing it up to the committee. Does anybody else have that?
Antonio, speak up.
Yeah, we'll send it out in an email with the names on it and everything, and then we'll come back and have a meeting about it. Yeah.
So next week we should have ideas of what we want to spend it on. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, everybody, I mean, we all can come together collectively and see who really need it and how we can disperse it and see how I can help the people. So that's why we haven't dispersed it to anybody yet, because we're just waiting. Nobody really reached out to us and said that they need it. So that's what we're waiting on. And once we get together, then we can talk about it, and then we can help the people with that idea.
Okay, and then my next question is, last week, I asked the coordinators to go to Anna and directly ask her the question about being a declared American in that process. And so who did that and what was the response?
I believe that response was actually answered in the coordinator's training call if you attended, which I believe you did. Someone else had actually asked it.
Oh, okay. I might have been on, but I probably walked away because I didn't hear it. So I guess I'll go listen to that again. And then Black's Law Dictionary is really the sea jurisdiction dictionary. And I just want to bring that up. I know it's not anything related to Western North Carolina, but I wanted to bring that up. I yield.
In every case of which we don't know who we are, it goes right back to Black's Law. So that's why I brought that up, is because most people are conducting commerce still, basically the way they run everything, and they're not running this under this is what's best for everybody. So that is why exactly I made that, concept. I thank you though. I yield.
Mary?
Thank you. Today, I read an article that Red Cross was taking their shelters out of Western North Carolina, which meant their large tents that the people were sleeping in. We might want to inquire about that with different communities and possibly see if we can find some large tents that will house people until they get tiny homes so that they can have some shelter at night because they don't want to leave their land.
I agree with that. That's a very sound decision.
May I respond on that? That has been offered to us, actually. I've brought that to Ross's attention. He went boots on the ground and went up the hills the last time that he went up there, and he came back and he was not happy because he came back with the same report that Neethi, or excuse me, that Rohi and others are digging up, that it's not safe for these people to be there. So the whole tent idea just basically got put out the window because we shouldn't be housing anybody there to be sick. It's not a good idea. They really need to evacuate. And I yield.
Man,
please.
So the discussion was supposed to be about what are some solutions that we can offer, because the Red Cross and so many other places, people are pulling out due to the high level of toxicity, and due to the fact that Governor Cooper, who was bought and paid for, is 100% not declaring the state of emergency that we should be in, that would have actually, informed everyone there that it's too dangerous to be there. The labs have been paid and bought out, so they're not actually giving accurate results. And then when we try to reach out to media to inform people there about the fact that they shouldn't have to, that we would be here to protect and defend their land, as the only lawful government, we can't communicate using any of their media channels because obviously they're bought and paid for. And so that is the discussion that's happening with Anna and the Federation to try to figure out how to get around that. Now, as a General Assembly, we could use a court of record and give marching orders to Cooper, but that requires us to work together. And I yield.
Thank you for the information. I mean, that's where I'm sticking with all this. And I apologize if my words went unmeasured or misunderstood. But until we all put down all grievances and work together, then we're all stuck apart. It is what it is. I'm not making any of that part up. You guys all know it. No matter what else you did disagree or didn't agree with me, that part is true. If we don't get together and figure it out and get along, we're all up shit's creek. Excuse my mouth. Derek.
Yes, I just wanted to ask the assembly if anyone has any reports of anything that the people of your area may need, or if you have visited the areas that are affected strongly. If you have any input on this, that would definitely help our efforts in being able to provide anything that they may need, especially any good news reports from us would be the best thing. Anyone who's there, those news reports are more credible than the news media themselves. I yield.
Yes.
Go ahead, Tess.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm going on Saturday to Black Mountain. I'm leaving out of Fuquay Varina. I'm going to bring water. I do happen to have a water filter. But if anyone wants to give me anything or tell me what to bring, everyone got the communication from Jeanette and Neva, so I'm going up there on Saturday. So I don't know if that's answering your question, Derek, but I happen to have, that's why I asked the question about iodine, because I happen to have a little stash of iodine tablets. So I yield. Thank you.
Ross?
Thank you. Well, I have been up there. We were in Spruce Pine and Pinola, and we tried to get down into Little Switzerland via the Parkway, and it was blocked. But on Saturday, my wife and I took a load of tents that had been brought to Morganton by Dan a week ago Saturday, and we've made several trips up there. The people up there are very strong. They you offer them a case of water and they say, well, I'll just take one. They're very proud and very strong people. But they've been very well supplied by in the way of food and water and clothing, to the point that they've asked us not to bring any more of that. Cold weather is coming on, and cold weather clothing, gloves, socks, warm socks is a big thing. Everybody up there is wearing boots, and they're all wearing low quarter socks, and it's scratching their legs up pretty bad. So socks are popular, hats. In that this group of items that Dan brought over a week and a half ago, well, I found some nice jackets, children's jackets. One of them still got the stickers on it. It's a size 10, 12, and I know it's going to be well received. And I heard up there that laundry soap is a popular thing because they're having to do a lot of laundry. And on tomorrow, Pete said you wanted some good news. On tomorrow, I'm expecting 2 large boxes of winter clothes, women's winter clothes, from a lady in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. And she's heard about what we're doing, and she contacted us, and they put her in touch with me, and we've shared communication back and forth. And she is packed up and is shipping UPS at her own expense 2 large boxes of clothes. One of them, I think, is winter clothes, women's clothes, and the other one might be children's clothes. I started to say pediatric clothes, but you know what I mean. So there is good things going on. There's always stories that you don't like to hear. You hear stories about people showing up at the station and getting cases of baby formula and taking them down to Walmart and cashing them in for an in-store credit card and doing it and using it for something else. And you hear stories about people selling electric generators that they got for free on Facebook Marketplace and chainsaws and things like that. But I guess that'll exist just about anywhere. It makes me think about a time we went over to a farm near here that raises a lot of blueberries, and we were over there visiting and shopping in their store. And I asked them, "What do you do about the birds, I forget the name, but there's a bird that likes to come in and eat blueberries." And they said, we plant more blueberries." So there'll be people that will do what they got to do. And if they got to, you know, be a little surreptitious, I'm okay with it. They're just using Walmart to help us help them. And I guess I have to get along with that. Tomorrow, I'm going up. Among the materials that Dan brought are some beds, and they're in demand. And I've got 3 of them loaded on my trailer tonight, and I'll be heading up that way in the morning. I'll make a few phone calls to start with to make sure that people will be receiving them. I don't want to get up there and have them say, "No, you can't stay here." But so things are, things are good, things are bad, and we're slow. We got into this game a little late. We're competing with some real heavy hitters, some big money boys, but we're making our presence known, and we're doing the best we can. And if anybody has questions, I'll be happy to answer them if I can. So I yield.
Thank you very much, Ross. Derek?
Yes, I just wanted to add as to the update. Yes, just like piggybacking off of what Ross said, they are getting a lot of donations. They are getting a lot of things. They're turning a lot of the donations away right now because they do have a lot, but that's the main thing of our goal. Just make sure that we're not missing anybody in our efforts, as well as one of the things that they are taking the most of right now because they are disposing of lightly and gently used clothing. So try to see if we can find people to donate so that they can get the clothes that they need and they're not turned down because they're lightly used. So those efforts would be great if you can find anyone, friends, family that want to donate. If you yourself want to donate, just get with anybody within the coordinators and the assemblies to make sure that it gets to the right place, so that way we can basically vet where this money is going to, and which we are doing. But they are very stringent in these official capacities to make sure that they're not giving it to the wrong peoples and that people from out of town aren't getting it. We just want to make sure that all this goes to the people in need. So yes, cash donations are one of the biggest things right now because we are pretty good at donating things across North Carolina, thank goodness. But other than that, yes, cash donations. I yield.
Thanks, Derek. Landon?
Yeah, thank you. I'm up here in Asheville. I was just trying to echo what everybody else was observing is um in Henderson County here, things are getting pretty much back to normal. Everybody's got power, water, drinkable water here in Henderson County, internet, all the stores are open. Buncombe County is going to take a little bit longer. Their watershed was severely damaged. I don't think they'll have Asheville's probably not going to have water for quite a while, drinkable water. All the restaurants are just doing bottles and cans. But like everybody's saying, these churches have so much supplies that they can't give it away. So I think that the focus should not be as much on supplies at this point. Everybody here I think the need stuff is okay, unless your house was devastated. I don't know how many people have heard about Neva. I mean, we have a member that her work and house, I think, was devastated. There's a effort to go help her Saturday, clean up a little bit. But if we have this limited amount of money and limited amount of manpower, I think we should probably focus it on maybe her, give her the money. If we have a specific person that needs our help, we can actually know that that's going to somebody that will receive it and needs it. I yield.
Thanks, Landon, for bringing a lot of those details up. At this point, after hearing your report and what everybody else is saying, we have gotten some individuals offering their labor. I think right now the focus needs to be, whatever necessity needs to be coming in, like through Ross and whoever else. But labor, if anybody has any labor donations or knows anybody that can offer any labor donations, please have them reach out. This way we can start getting in there and helping out with the things that they possibly need labor wise. I do want to announce that one of our coordinators has had to step down. Tess unfortunately lost her father, so she needs to focus on her mother. I just wanted everybody to be aware of that. It's been real nice to see her speaking up today, considering all her things she's been dealing with the last couple of weeks. So we do appreciate you, Tess. And with that, I'm going to yield.
Landon, your hand is still up. You have anything else to say? Alrighty, no.
Nah, sir, I'll get it down.
I got the floor. Yeah, so just to bring back what I talked about last week is maybe having a skill set page, and people also recommend like a little whiteboard page. I haven't got any feedback from that. Maybe I could just ask quickly for a show of hand if everybody thinks that's a good idea. It'd be something like where you'd show up with your sign up with your email address and create your own password. And then you can control what you enter as your skill set and maybe some stuff you want to donate and contact as you wish. And as well, you can also post something on a whiteboard, things you may want or requests or questions you have. So it's like to get a feedback of what people think about that. I yield.
May I?
Please, thank you.
I think that you should totally do a whiteboard, Jeanette. Fantastic.
Okay. I've talked to Dave Hopkins about that. I think we can manage something where we could just put it on the website. I don't know if Dave wants to add anything to that. I see him on here.
I was going to say, Janelle, if you can write up the code, we can try to get the code into the website and go from there.
Yeah, but it's something I already wrote for you guys 6 months ago. I'll just add a few things to it and see if I can just implement it. So we'll figure out a way to get the program in there. I'll talk to David later. So no objections. I'll probably do that this week. I yield.
Thank you, Janelle. So it seems like at this point we've discussed a lot of the major things that need to be discussed in regards to disaster relief. Do we have a motion to adjourn today?
I see Ross has his hand up.
Oh, go ahead, Ross.
Thank you. I would like to just make one comment. Weeks ago, when we were in the thick of all of this, I did send a couple of text messages out to Cynthia and to Joe McDougall, and I'm pretty confident that we're out of cell phone signal and we're unable to respond to that. But just for the record, yes, we did reach out, and I'm very sorry that we were unable to get in touch with them. I yield.
Thank you for that, Ross. With that, do we have a motion to adjourn?
Absolutely.
Anybody second?
Second.
All right, everybody. We have a motion to adjourn. Dan firsted. Who seconded it?
Neathy.
Neefi did. And with that, we're going to go ahead and close the meeting. Everybody have a wonderful week, and thank you for joining.
Okay, and my last question is, did you author the message to us calling us all fucking bastards?
No, I did not.
Who authored that?
What's happened here is that certain members of the North Carolina leadership happened to do something rather corporate, something that was illegal. And it was something so egregious that I lost my temper. And that was specifically to those people who did it, not to anybody else, and not meant to be shared with anyone else.
It was shared 4 times. It was shared by Neethi 4 times.
Well, I don't know how Neethi got hold of a copy to share when she knew very well that that was addressed to other people. But in any event, let us get beyond bad behavior. Let us get beyond trespassing on other people's rights and prerogatives. Realize that everybody here, every single man and woman that you see in these little tiles, everybody has the same exact rights, and it does not follow the corporatist model by which, you have a position and therefore you think you have some sort of authority. No, you have a trust. The other people here are trusting you to do a job. It's a completely different model of government. And I was so frustrated that I sent out a little diagram that shows how a hierarchical structure is and how a communal-based structure is. And I would hope that everybody got that little diagram so that they could finally see that we are not an autocracy. We are not built like a corporation. We don't have a CEO. Our coordinator is not a CEO. Our coordinator team is not a CEO.
So they gave us a bunch of instructions on how we are to think and act in our little Saturday emergency meeting. So our new coordinator team is starting out being more of a CEO than our old coordinator ever thought about being. So I don't know if you're aware of all the stuff. I sent you a testimony of a PowerPoint that goes against all of the things that were said, and I would hope that you would take the time to actually look at it. And with that, I yield.
Well, I'm sure everybody has their opinions about everybody else. And what I'm asking everyone to do is change your thinking. Start thinking about everybody else in this entire conversation as being equal in every way, whether they have an office or not. Start thinking about everybody who's pictured here as being precious, valuable, wonderful, God's own creation, okay? Start thinking like a communitarian. Start thinking like the founding fathers. Don't think as elitists. Don't think as power mongers. This is not what we're here for. We're not here to power monger. We're not here. We're here to help you, but we're not here to dictate to you. I heard
But then I got the message that I'm a fucking bastard, and that bothered me. And with
I
that,
didn't say that to
yield.
you. I said it to Dominic and Cynthia Pinkston, and let's make it very clear.
Well, it was,
I was
not.
thoroughly
It was.
disgusted
It was
with
not.
them.
It was not. When it come out,
And
it
Neither
was
should
to
never
us.
have shared that. Never, ever.
It was to us. That bothered me.
It was
I
not
understand.
to you.
Where
was not
Nathan needs to
addressed
give a
to
damn.
you.
Point of order. I'm gonna have to put in a point of order right now. We're trying. I
It
understand.
was not addressed to you, Mr. Johnson. It was addressed to Cynthia and Dominic because of things that were done that were not right, and they knew it.
First time I've heard myself called a fucking bastard. Thanks, Anna. I yield.
Well, you deserved it, Cynthia, and you know it too. You had never let go from your position of bad-mouthing, backbiting, and carrying on a subterranean war against Nethi and anyone associated with Nethi. I've had people from North Carolina tell me that I'm Nethi's mouthpiece. I've had people tell me that I'm Cynthia's mouthpiece. And I'm here to tell all of you I'm nobody's mouthpiece. I stood up to the Queen of England, I stood up to the Pope, and I've stood up to the Lord Mayor of the inner city of London. I've stood up to the entire British crown. And I am no sissy. And I think for myself, and I evaluate things for myself. And what I found was not good. And when I see people using corporate tactics to suborn and slander and harass and continue to assault and assail people long after this should have been put to bed, then it's time that somebody stood up and said, enough. Now I've said it. Enough. I said it directly to the leadership of both factions.
Anna, I'd like to apologize to you. I did send that out to everybody because there's so much chaos and confusion on our state, and they just don't stop. And I shared everything with everyone instead of allowing any more compartmentalization. And so I apologize, Anna, to you.
You have to learn to work together whether you like each other or not. And you can't be backbiting, infighting, power mongering, and acting like kids in a, some sort of slam fest gossip session. It shocks me. You shocked by my language. Well, yes, I did call them fucking bastards. I did. I was that tuned up. I was that angry. Because some of the things that have gone on here shouldn't have gone on here. Because they knew better. And they did it anyway. Okay? I didn't suggest that they step down from their offices. I suggested that they man up and start acting like the people they should be and could be. Because they're not acting in their best interest, and they're not acting in the best interest of North Carolina, and they're not acting in the best interest of this assembly if they're carrying on a little he said, she said gossip war. I informed Dominic, subsequent to that letter, that he is viewed by many people in North Carolina who have directly contacted me as a man who's a manipulative man who's standing behind Cynthia and using her as his attack dog. Literally. More than one person has said that over the course of the past year. And I explained to him in no uncertain terms that if that isn't what's happening, then he needs to step up And he needs to talk to Cynthia about her gossiping and her abuse of power. Now, I love Cynthia. I think she's a fine person. I know that she's well intended and that she's gone over the top and really tried her best to help a lot of people, and she's continuing to do that right now. But we can't continue to have an assembly that is polarized by this kind of infighting. It doesn't belong in an assembly. It belongs in a corporate boardroom. I spent many years in the corporate world. I was a labor negotiator. I was a CEO. I created at least 12 corporations, 10 of which are still in existence, even though I left them long ago. So when I see corporate boardroom politics being played out in an assembly, I know what I'm seeing. I am not ignorant. I'm not somebody who fell off the turnip truck yesterday. When I see corporate manipulations and game playing and name calling and labeling and infighting and backbiting and labeling and propaganda and all the other things that I have seen all my life in corporatocracy, I know what I'm seeing. And I know who's at fault because I know the source of it. So yes, I laid it on them. So there has to be an end to that. And if it means that they have to leave the assembly because they're just too toxic and they can't get the corporate hierarchy out of their blood and they can't stop treating people like dirt and manipulating them, then our loss. All of our loss. Their loss. The loss of the assembly, everybody's loss, because we have to learn how to get along and support and appreciate and respect each other. And if we don't, if we continue to act in the corporate mold, then guess what? All we do is recreate the corporate government that we're trying to get away from. We bring our problem with us. We have got to stop the corporate politics. We have to stop the power mongering. We have to stop valuing position as a office, as a power over others. Because in our government, which is a different government with different values, that's not how we do things. We don't invite, we don't backbite, we don't disrespect, we don't use, abuse, label, gossip about, undermine. No. We're supposed to work together as brothers and sisters in community for a common good and for our mutual benefit. I'm here to protect your assets and your rights. You're here to protect my assets and my rights. And together we stand. But if we lose sight of that and start this bickering and this prideful nonsense, and we just won't let it go, even after we've been shown to be wrong, then we fall. Then we're divided. Then we have this kind of he said, she said, they did. Oh, I didn't. Oh, I'm just, I'm white as snow. And then it turns out that, well, in the background, you were doing the same thing to them. And it's all corporate politics as usual. And that's why I was so completely fed up with all of that. And that's why I called them fucking bastards. Yes, I did. And I admit it, and I take responsibility for it. Maybe not the best moment of my leadership capabilities, but by God, I tell you, I was so ready to take on the entire freaking world at that moment that I didn't care what anybody thought. I was going to have my say about this continuing situation in North Carolina's leadership. They need to correct in a big way. Okay.
The first one is, so you admitted at first you denied you authored that email calling us all fucking bastards, and then you said you did, but it was only directed for Dominic and Cynthia. So I was
did not.
wondering-
I did not. Let's make this clear. I did not author that to all of the North Carolina Assembly or all of the members at all. And that was clear within the context of the communication.
Okay.
That it was ever shared with you was Neethy's fault.
So my next question would be, how could that happen? I mean, that's a pretty big mistake. How can that happen?
It wasn't a mistake. I did it and I apologized.
So you're admitting that it was an intentional, deceptive thing that you did.
It wasn't deceptive. It was to put the truth out in front of everybody when everyone on this assembly does not see everything because everything is compartmentalized. And I apologize to Anna because she didn't intend for anyone else to see it.
And so you knew that, but you sent it to everyone.
Absolutely, I did. And I'm taking ownership of it. And I'll do it again. And I explained to her why I did it. And I
But
yield.
you
Do
didn't
not-
say this is a copy. You sent it to us like it was for us.
I wanted everyone to see everything that was going on, and I will not talk anymore about it right now. This is ridiculous. What is the
Once
point,
again-
John?
The point is you do it all the time.
Excuse me, Donna. You don't even know what you're saying. You've never.
Okay. All right. Point of order.